I always know when things are going unbelievably well for the majority of you because I receive notifications on social media of people tagging me in others' posts where, people will try to pawn my picks off as their own, not realizing, don't you think it sticks out a little bit? Because the sniffs you get here on this channel are Andy originals. Nobody sniffs like me. Nobody give the under 6.5 clenched ass cheeks plus 2.5 for the underdog with under half of a goal on a guy I've deemed the worst player in the entire series. Don't you think that sticks out a little bit? You're not going to get any Green Bay Packers minority owners that way.
Parlay.
But I don't blame you. I can't blame you. I've been trying to spread the word about ass cheeks in Game 7s for years now. I'm screaming, but people, they're just dying to do other things rather than make a bunch of money. But I know it starts to change when they get their face rubbed in it time after time after time. You know what's funny? If any of you out there, you stopped sports betting, I honestly would encourage that. You want to be a painter? Go spend every day painting. I told you already, Top Gun calls me, I'm out of here. I'm never doing this one more day. But if you do that, you give this up completely, you never place another sports bet for the rest of your life, and you're walking by some sort of like bar or restaurant or cafe, and you happen to see a Game 7 in the NHL on that TV, you see like TNT under that, it says Game 7, you're just going to think to yourself, I know everybody's got the under 6.5 on this one. Let me see what the score is. 5 minutes left, 2-1. You guys all know now, it's just been years, and it's all about having those chips ready for those elimination games late in this year. Not early in the series when you guys all became panickers, claiming there was no more defense in the NHL. And just as I told you yesterday, early in a series is when you're likely to see a ton of penalties called and higher scoring games because the refs can't decide a series in Game 1 or Game 2 or even Game 3. You get to Game 5, 6, 7, penalties go down, ass cheeks get tight, and those unders come through left, right, and center. And maybe you won't even need my videos after a while, but then again, I don't know, sometimes I just have to repeatedly smack you guys with the same information, so maybe you will need them. But as long as you need them and Top Gun doesn't call me, they'll be here for you. And we got another series starting today. The Bruins are taking on the Panthers after their overtime Game 7 clenched ass cheek win. Now, the chalk, idiotic donkey, I truly know nothing about hockey mindset, would think that Florida's going to win this series in 5 or less. You just can't be a hockey watcher if you think that's the case. You just can't. You cannot know the game if you think this is ending in 5 or less. The Boston Bruins just got 2 years worth of a 2-year monkey has been taken off their back. After losing Game 7 to Carolina, I guess 3 years, Game 7 to Carolina, then losing Game 7 last year, dropping 3-1 to the Panthers, then losing that Game 7, and then looking at losing Game 7 to the Leafs after being up 3-1. They end up winning that game after going down 1-0. The weight of the world is off their shoulders. They have the hottest goalie in the NHL playoffs, and they have zero pressure with those aforementioned chalk donkeys thinking that they're just going to get destroyed in this series because, I don't get it, the best Boston team ever couldn't beat this Panthers team last year. So they got rid of all those players and now they're going to win? Classic aardvark donkey, or somebody said, what's the tiered rankings? I'll work on that this summer. But if you think that, you're right in the middle of all of them. Donkey, aardvark, you. Because this Bruins team have all the makings of a team that can screw these Panthers the other way. They have the hot goalie. And Bobrovsky, remember how he was after his long layoff? Remember how he was after that long layoff between the conference finals and the Stanley Cup final? Do not forget, Bobrovsky has the ability to fully blow up the series in the wrong direction. And on top of that, I believe Sam Bennett still isn't ready at the top of this series. So I think this series is going 6 or long. And you should all be rooting for games 5s, 6s, and 7s. You're the random basketball fan who I still despise, who doesn't watch hockey, the picks that I give here are just extensions of what I know. Like, I know this game. You want an example of what I'm talking about? I'm going to give you a bet that has nothing to do with a bet. It has to do what I know about the game. And that is the Boston Bruins just played one of the most exhausting series you'll see. All right, they were forechecked all series long. They had to deal with the Leafs, especially when Matthews was out. On the forecheck every game, that was a very tough series. Game 7 went into overtime. They're going into Florida, a Florida who loves to play aggressive and take a lot of shots. They have so many shooters on their team. Naturally, they should have the Bruins hemmed in for a period of this game 1. I'm looking for the over on saves for whoever's playing net for Boston, because I personally would play Ullmark in this game. It's a perfect spot after those exhausting games for Swayman to give him one game off and give Ullmark a chance to screw the team who he tried to play through his injury last year and got lit up. Give him a chance, fresh, with no pressure, to steal that game 1, because everybody knows Swayman's coming in. So send him in there to try to fully steal that game 1. There could be a chance for that, and I don't know who's playing net. I don't know what the save total is, but if it's under 29.5, I'm taking the over. 27.5, 28.5, 20. There should be a period where pucks are being fled into that Boston net. So I'm taking the over on save. I'm taking the over on save simply because I'm trying to picture how the game is going to go. And then I try to translate that into what bets does that work for. Boston being hemmed in after an exhausting series with a ton of forecheck on their defensemen. There should be a lot of pucks going towards the net. What can I get from that? I can go for shots on goal for Florida players, but I think I'll take the over on whatever the saves are for whatever goalie is playing. Yeah, put that on your little social media site and call it your own. Elsewhere in that game, both of these teams, weirdly enough, play a relatively similar game. They play a heavy game. They don't mind mucking it up, getting dirty. They both play pretty good defense. Both teams, even Boston, in a 7-game series, gave up more than 2 goals once. One game of more than 2. And I believe that was the same for the Panthers. I think the Panthers gave up more than 2 once. So you have 2 teams who gave up more than 2 one time. You know what that adds up to me? Yeah, that adds up to another under 6.5. So how can we knock down this under 6.5? Well, pinky in the same way we always do, with a couple of under half of a goals. I can give you 1, but I guess I'll give you 2 to try to get it to plus money. So you know what? Take the heavier minus here. Under 6.5. Give me under half of a goal for Pavel Zacha. You remember that? And then there's another guy, Charlie Coyle. I gave you both of those players in different same-game parlays with their under half of a goal. I saw a stat on the Bruins centers in the last 20-something playoff game. Neither of these guys has a goal. And in a game where I think they'll be hemmed in a little bit, and I don't know how many they're going to score, give me the under half of a goal on both of those guys with the under 6.5 in that game. And another reason I like that under 6.5 in that game is because Sam Bennett isn't playing, and they juggled the lines in Florida where they ultra-stack the top, semi-ultra-stack. They're going with Barkov, Tkachuk, and Verhaeghe on line 1. Bennett doesn't look ready yet, and then we're getting the hero from round 1, Lundell, but with Lusterinen and Reinhart. So they're leaving Reinhart a little bit by himself, and I swear to you, I'm doing this one. I'm doing this. I'm not going to put this one out on the Patreon because I really try to be careful and not take unnecessary risks. Under 6.5 with the under half goal on Sam Reinhart is plus 125. I'm taking that personally. If you're on that second line with those guys, you know what? With the goaltending Boston's getting, I'm going to take a half chance on that. Yes, I am worried about the power play. I think that's worth a little deli slice on the under 6.5 with the under half of a goal for Sam Reinhart. Those are the top 6 forwards now, because the guy I deemed the weak link, I said the top line keeps contributing every single game against Tampa. Well, except this is going to be the Joe Pavelski of this series, although the price isn't going to be as good. But you're telling me this player I'm about to say is down on the third line, and he's already been on the second power play, and my eye saw him like, wow, this guy looks awful out there. That's Vladimir Tarasenko. I'm going under half of a point for Vlad Tarasenko in this game against the Boston Bruins. On that Bruins side, because I believe there's going to be a big portion of this game where they do remain hemmed in. This is an older player, a player who faded a little bit in the back half of that series. I'm going to go with the under 2.5 shots on goal for Brad Marchand. He was shooting a whole hell of a lot more earlier in that series, and they were able to shut him down. We obviously know Florida knows how to shut players down, and he's not even a high-volume shooter like Pasternak. He's actually a pretty selective shooter, so I think even if this was against the Leafs, this under 2.5 would be a pretty good bet. So give me the under 2.5 for Brad Marchand. And then we'll do the Andy special. If it appears on some other site, you know nobody gives out the under 6.5 with the plus 2.5 for the underdog, which is the Boston Bruins. So Bruins plus 2.5, under 6.5. And then give me that awful Vlad Tarasenko under half of a goal. Good luck to you. Better luck to me. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel here. I'll always give you the latest updates on when those cheeks need to be clenched versus when they don't. And I'll tell you this, in the Western Conference, you got the Avs coming, you got the Oilers coming. You can release the cheeks and we can find some player props. But that's not until tomorrow. We do have one of those games on the slate tomorrow, but we will talk about it then. As always, the Patreon is where I'll put the additional parlays. That's where we have chat threads discussing what's going on in the games. That's where I'll put, oh my God, there's a new lineup update, like yesterday for that Dallas game. We found out that Pavelski was on a line with Jamie Benn and Wyatt Johnston. So he was switching places with Johnston on the first and third. So all those last minute things that you need to know, I put that over there along with the affiliated parlays. And don't forget, that's where Josh is going to post his baseball picks every single morning once the NHL is over. So we got that to look forward to down the road. So that's patreon.com/Andy Francess. You can get all those goodies over there. Hopefully I see you there. If not, I will see you tomorrow for some more NHL Sniffs. I'll talk to you then. Take it easy.